I'm Greg Ferenstein. I'm a writer who do health tech for the Daily Beast.
My name is Mikko. I'm from Clothing Plus, Finland. We do textile integrated biometric sensors.
I'm Stephane with OMsignal. Greg, by the way, to be clear, we decided you are moderating. Is that clear?
It is now.
We actually confirmed that a moment ago.
Yeah, my name is Florian. I'm CEO and co-founder of Runtastic. We started in the app business and went by 2012 also in the hardware business.
So the point of this panel is to talk about how wearables and health tech can make you smarter, better, faster, stronger, slimmer, whatever you want to do. Like, not only help you achieve your goals, but find new goals that you didn't even know you needed until you got them and were like, this is amazing, we need more of this. So this is the most optimistic panel of the day. And I wanted to throw it out. How, in you guys' business, how is the business model for helping people achieve awesomeness? We'll go.
Yeah, so from the app business, with our core tracking app, which is actually mostly for runners, what we found out so far that we can provide people a tool for free that they can measure their runs, getting all those data, and they become really motivated to doing it again, to share it on all those social media and stuff like that. And so I think now wearables are getting to be devices which you really can use for understand by yourself what could be a goal, how many steps you're doing a day, and then you can challenge yourself and getting information about that. So I really think changing behaviors or building behavior changing products is the one of the most important things when you're thinking about doing products like that.
Okay, but let's talk about some of the more interesting insights, because you guys are in this business. What are some of the most important things that you've found to change the couch potato society? So you have someone who didn't do anything at all, and now they're doing something more awesome than they were before. How do you nudge people to do that?
Yeah, actually it's pretty easy. So one thing we really found out, we're pretty strong on social media. Up to 30% of all our Runtastic users are sharing their success to social media. It's just to getting those likes or tweeting it and getting retweets, and so they find other people who are also in the running business and they can connect in an easy way. So it's really about sharing your success. Then we found out when you can share a certain kind of record, you achieved a 10K in a best time and you can compare on a leaderboard. This really pushes people. So we're sending out notifications in some way that you get an information, hey, you just achieved a new record, things like that. It's really easy at the beginning because you actually don't have any knowledge about when you're starting as a couch potato doing your first run. You don't know anything about your pace, how fast you can do that, things like that. And so it's really easy to motivate those kind of people. So they are just starting. I think it's getting more difficult to keep them up later in the stage for being motivated. So that's what.
So social rewards and baselining performance. I like it.
But just by way of context, OMsignal does smart clothing, biosensing shirt. Like, we think that the ultimate wearable medium is actual clothing. So right now we're selling online at OMsignal.com. We're selling performance shirts, and there's two core elements to the value proposition. First, they help you achieve a higher performing level of fitness, and then help you with performance in a sports-related context. And second, they help you with performance in a lifestyle context, providing you tools to achieve greater self-mastery. So without going too far to your question, Greg, one of the things we do is we develop really novel use cases. For example, in the fitness context, estimating based on your biometrics, your push, like your pushometer, as you do sets, for example. So a new way to engage you to baseline your own performance, as you encapsulated earlier.
What are some of the coolest things that you're building to make people awesome?
We only build the components to measure the signal. Our job, Clothing Plus's job, is to provide a good, clear signal to our customer or a third party of their choice to process that further. So we enable them to get a large customer base of people who are doing the measurements. And the cornerstones of our products would be then comfort, signal clarity, and just maintenance. Everything that we do is machine washable. But can I just fill in here? I have a question for Florian. Can I please? Can I? Okay. Yeah. Good. Awesome. What I would like to see is a metric something measured from the human body, like let's talk about heart rate, for instance. How far off are we from a situation where a person who's starting to use a heart rate monitor doesn't have to be knowledgeable in heart rate? Like they don't have to understand what it means when their watch says 142. Is there something that you know in development where that information could be delivered in a more understandable and simple way?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. As we introduced our heart rate monitor within our apps, we saw people started using it, but then we really in our support, people started asking what actually does that mean when I have my different heart rate zones. And so I think it's really not easy to train people or to let them understand what it does mean, really, because there are so many ideas out there. But it would be good to have a really easy way that I can say, okay, my goal is just I would like to lose weight and I would like to run in a certain heart rate space from 130 to 145. And just if I'm increasing to 150, I get a signal, slow down. And so I think for the mainstream people, it isn't necessary to explain then into detail. And we also found out if people are starting as a couch potato, then buying a heart rate monitor, then really starting to read themselves or do some, they're really interested in it, spend more time into that technology to understand what does the number mean.
Well, we like gauges. We like to have, for example, a scale of how high was your push, how high is your energy, how stressed or tense you are. Simple UX representation, and we've got this simple formula for wearable engagement. Like obviously one of the discussion is how do we make wearable engaging in a sustainable fashion, and we've got 3 variables, you know. Imagine biological signal, and we think the biological signal contains so much richer information than just basic activity. So that's one variable, how rich is your signal. 2 is what's the UX that you apply on it. Like for us, like we train with Olympians, get into their head. And 3 is the quality of the algorithms that you develop to support these UX. And that's you're going to be as good as the weakest part of that chain.
Yeah, because we don't do the signal analysis, we don't do software or the circuit boards. We look at this from a different perspective, and that's why I'm so interested in understanding, you know, where the development goes. Because Florian touched upon the mainstream market. We see that, well, basically sports, fitness, wellness, and the medical world, they are going to overlap in the future, where some of the measurements that up until a few years ago were thought of as strictly medical, you know, such as brain waves or EEG, those are going to come into consumer markets. I mean, we see applications and products coming out that will have a medical signal, but it will never be FDA applied for.
This is the thing. I think the industry has kind of lacked a bit of imagination on where you can use some of these signals. So one of the hacks that I did for the Daily Beast was I wanted to see if I could replace coffee with exercise. And the only way that I knew this was I had to measure my brainwave signals, because there's a way you can measure concentration, right? And so one thing that I did was I measured my concentration on coffee. I gave myself a certain amount of, like a cup of coffee, and then I tried exercising. And I found out that with 30 seconds of high-intensity exercise, 20 burpees, I could get the exact same cognitive boost during the day as I ordinarily had to do with coffee without any of the negative side effects. Now, it doesn't last as long, but with this kind of wearable technology, you can automatically tell someone if they walked upstairs one day instead of took the elevator, hey, you got a cognitive boost. You are more productive and happy at work. Next time, take the stairs. And these kind of algorithms will fundamentally change behavior when we can tell someone they are at their best. And that's what I'm hoping, some of the new Apple stuff, but this is, when you have pervasible wearables, this is what you can tell people.
Did you say you used EEG for that?
I used 2 measures. I used EEG, the NeuroSky. Now, in the future, I'll use the Muse, which is upstairs, because I think it's a better signal. And then a website called quantifiedmind.com, which allows me to measure how my behavior impacts things like reaction time tests and memory as a gauge for how smart I am or how focused I am at any given point.
Because the cool thing about this is that it might not be one signal which is the killer app, but it could be a combination of signals. So in this case, for instance, you could end up with the same information of how alert you are from EEG, but you could probably also measure it with skin conductance or maybe even derive it from HRV or heart rate variability.
I would love that. And like both of the things that you guys are designing, you could do amazing things. Like if I go on a run and I know I hit my PR for that run, I may know if I'm wearing your shirt that I have more energy that day. And then I get a prescription from my phone that says, you didn't run today, this is why you're feeling down. This is why you didn't sleep as well. I think the future of apps is telling people why they didn't hit their peak.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. So really we have to, on the one hand, to show to the end user less data as possible. Don't give them too many data, because if you start just starting, think about wearables, and you have all those data and you get too much data, that's, I think you're overwhelming then. But what is probably right, you should say to them, okay, you didn't sleep very well because yesterday you didn't achieve your goals, you had a late coffee or whatever. And I think here's really the challenge, even for us, to on the one hand to measure all those signals and then to transform it into the right message to the people, to the user. Because when you really think about that and ask somebody on the street how many steps you take a day, probably nobody can answer this question. So it's really the basics, and you shouldn't give them too many data about everything and all those stuff.
We're actually in the infancy of wearable UX. We're in the outright infancy, and the magic will be in the UX abstraction. How do we make this interesting to draw your attention sustainably? And I think actually the core frame is not so much to tell you like you're not performing high enough. It's more about like see how you could do better. Compare yourself to a pro, compare yourself to your better day, and inching you forward. That's more sort of the psychology of behavior change that I think will lead to sustainable engagement.
I don't know. I mean, you have data on this. Is incremental? So is like an incremental goal improvement a better way to affect behavior change, or is there something else? Be like you ran 5% faster today, or try running faster tomorrow. I don't know. What?
No. That's true, but at a certain time. You always have to think about when you're just starting with all those technologies, wearables, and it takes some time that you really can give all those data to a user. So I think you really have to split the user groups. So when we're always talking about what's next from a technology perspective, we can measure, for example, not only the heart rate, we have more deeper analysis, we have your sleep tracking, your sleep patterns, but what does that mean for the end user? So I really think here, we have to be really careful to show him at the right time, the right message, and to learn or let the user learn what does that mean exactly. So that is also what we figured out to showing, just for running, to showing data like the pace, the altitude, all that stuff you have done, the heart rate. So it's a lot of data for beginners, not a lot of data for professionals. And I think here we really have to split and giving them the right messages. And so I think that's really one of the challenges in the future now, because you can measure probably so many data, and you really have to abstract the data, as you mentioned, in user interface to really just show him the right things at the right time.
And the upside to this is just so amazing for like just personal growth. Like everyone can think about a time when they just got fantastic sleep, right? How good you feel on that day. I remember a couple times where, I don't know, I slept like 9 hours or maybe it was 6 hours, but in the morning I felt invincible. It was better than crack or whatever drug of your choice. It was just amazing. I have no idea how to get back to that, and I desperately want to. If I was pervasively monitoring each one of my vital signs, maybe it was something I ate, maybe it was exercise. I think I drank one of the nights, so it wasn't alcohol. But the only way we will know how to be at our best is when we're measuring it at all times. And that's what's cool that's what's cool about the shirts and the clothing, because you'll plug in, like, I feel awesome today. What did I do last night? And it'll be like, you ran 2 miles or something like that.
Yeah, our vision is to hide sensors in garments altogether, and not just hide them out of sight, but also people shouldn't have to feel them. They'd be so unobtrusive that people wouldn't even know. They wouldn't have to understand that they're wearing stuff with sensors in it, at least not be too aware of it. We're also hoping to make sensors so cheap that there's ultimately no threshold whatsoever for anybody to implement them in their garments.
In fact, we had a quick chat earlier, and like there's a day we imagine where you're going to go buy a shirt or underwears or socks or whatever, and you won't even ask. You'll just expect for your garment to be a connected device that helps you live a fitter, healthier, happier life. And we're entering an exponential phase here. So it's not 50 years from now. Is it 5? Is it 10? Like, who knows? But this is going to happen. Why wouldn't your clothes be connected? Like, turn the question around.
Like, I am hoping the day comes soon when these devices are a prescription from a doctor, right? So when I can pervasively monitor everything that I do, my doctor will know that my blood pressure goes down when I exercised rather than when I tried to eat something less or some other prescription, because we will know that being healthy is in fact the best way to meet your doctor's goals. So it'll be in their interest to prescribe, train for a marathon.
I absolutely second that. I think Apple's Health Kit, which was just launched, is a big step in that direction. But from Clothing Plus's point of view, we expect sensors to be a part of garments, exactly like Stephane here just said, in the very near future. And the cool thing about it is that when people will start measure their biosignals, for really no other reason than just following them and recording them, by the time something happens, and today, if you injure yourself or you get ill, you go to the doctor, what they'll first do is they'll diagnose you. They will establish a snapshot image of your present state. Now, imagine in the future when you go to the doctor and they can just instantly pull up a history of your vital signs, and they can tell that, okay, 2 weeks ago, this and that metric started decline or rapidly rise, and they can make a much more calculated and informed decision on your treatment.
So maybe what I'm interested here also, if you're measuring that many body data, are you also having a look on those environmental data like the sunshine or sunlight a day or things like the temperature out there to combine also these data directly in your sensors?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we could be monitoring anything, but then again, from the perspective of textiles and clothing, it doesn't always make a lot of sense to try and embed everything in garments. Like, for right now, there's a good reason for why there are still detachable parts in wearable technology, is because the power management, the present-day coin cell batteries, they contain heavy metals and they just cannot take the mechanical stress and heat of washing machines. So once that is solved, we reckon within a couple of years, the issues of power management should be solved. That's when things, start getting much better. But yeah,
the way
just to elaborate on that question, yeah, we could be monitoring anything. It doesn't just have to be biometrics. It could be also like, I don't know, pollution levels, noise, whatever.
One of the frameworks we like to use to think about this, all this ambient information will come from weather service, but it may also come from the Internet of Things. And we consider wearable to be, if Internet of Things is the solar system, wearable, and in our case, like we'd say, biosensing clothing, is the sun. This is the center of it, and you want for the sun to dictate how things will behave around you. Your biometrics will have your Nest thermometer change the temperature, for example, not the other way around. So it will be sort of a multifaceted, connected world, but at the center of it should be the self and the wearable.
Yeah, the thing I would love for this field to do, and it's starting to get there, is really raise expectations for what you think you can affect for behavior change. Like, when we have enough big data, we will know that people who work out or who are healthy or who go outside, get a certain exposure to levels of sun, they live longer, they are happier. And your doctor will be able to give you a choice. You can work out and live 25 years, or you can cut 25 years off your life and sit down on a couch. And so every day my app will tell me, your behavior today will kill you 10 years earlier. You're like, congratulations, that's the thing you've chosen. Or you can start eating broccoli and use Runtastic, and you can live 5 miles longer and be much more productive and much happier. Which one would you like to do tomorrow? Press a button, right? And then that's what your insurance will do. And like, ideally, insurance rates would vary based on that. But that's what we will have the power to do with all of these technologies. So what I'm hoping is this industry shoots for the stars.
There's some metrics that are, we don't do them yet, but we have the core biological signals to do that are pretty profound in changing behavior, potentially. One of them has to do with the vagal tone. And without going to the details of it, when you breathe in, your heart slightly accelerates. When you breathe out, slightly decelerates. The higher your vagal tone, the healthier you are in general, the higher your longevity, and the happier you are. There's a ton of science around this done in labs, you know. Now we have vehicles, you know, wearables that can track this in your daily life. So you can draw the causality between what you do, how you live, and how you experience life through your physiognomy.
Are you telling us you actually have a metric for happiness?
We certainly did not invent it, but it's actually it's interesting that this whole field of modeling emotions, this is around the corner as well. I don't know if you guys may do stuff with heart rate variability, which correlates with stress level, which correlates with willpower. We measure breathing, which also your breathing regularity is an indication of how focused you are at a given moment. And over time, like developing proxies for emotions is certainly, it's gonna happen. In labs, there's experiments that merge both heart rate variability and breathing to qualify which emotion you associate with in that moment. This is done in labs today. So all of this is coming to real life. It's just a matter of time and an evolution of the wearable industry.
And this is the fun stuff you can do, because when your emotions are bad, the way you treat other people are bad. So your phone will know, like, you didn't get a run in today, you're breathing not very well, did you yell at your wife today? And you'll be like, yes. Right, and we will know that because when people don't exercise, when they don't eat right, they're more irritable, and that translates into the way we treat other people. We have a few minutes left. I'm going to throw it up to Q&A unless someone wanted to say something. Unless you have little microphones, you'll be able to tell if you're yelling at people.
I just think it's so cool that we have all these metrics today, such as a good example is heart rate variability. It's been around since the mid-70s, and some might think that it's already totally played out. But the great thing is that every day we learn something new about it. You know, there's somebody who's researching that signal and he finds new ways of extracting some kind of information out of it. That's just great.
Okay, we don't have a microphone for questions, but if you just come up close and shout, we'll hear you. Why are there so many wearable countries in Finland? Good question. Companies. I said companies, right? Really? Huh, companies.
There are probably many answers to that question, but one good answer would be the rise and decline of our national jewel of Nokia. So many people...
Ours is BlackBerry. No.
What's that?
Ours is RIM. Never mind. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, many people from Nokia, they got a chance to either quit or get some money and start up a company, and that's what they did. And a lot of the research is, for some reason, very tightly connected to fitness and sports.
Good question. Anyone else have a question for the Optimized Health panel? You, sir. Sorry, I can't see people farther away because of this light. Go on. So API is the ability to draw information and then share that information with others. Go on.
Yeah, so what we found out at the moment that we're really not struggling each day with this topic, because there are so many other apps which say, okay, let's get connected. We can push the running data, the calories you have burned into the system. So we recently, or almost 1.5 years ago, we did the integration with MyFitnessPal, for example, where you track your calories. But what we also found out, what is really a pain at the moment, that there's no standard. So every company has their own API solution, and it's really hard at the moment to do all those integrations. And I think, for example, what yesterday Apple with HealthKit has launched, that it's going to be a standard in the future, that you really easy can exchange the data, that it's an opt-in for the user, can say, I'd like to send to MyFitnessPal the calories I have done and maybe the time I spent into doing a run, and vice versa, we got back as Runtastic the weight history, things like that. I think it's definitely a must-have. At this point, it's really just proprietary solutions of all those companies, and that's the big pain in there, that's what we figured out.
And the importance of these APIs cannot be understated. With something like a wearable shirt, researchers are able to increasingly identify onset illness by the way someone moves. So if they're moving slowly that day or they're not breathing right, a doctor could potentially alert them to a fatal disease. But we don't know how to read the signal because there aren't enough people sharing the information. So opening up the APIs and then giving it away publicly will save thousands, if not more, lives.
You will be coding your clothes eventually.
I think that's all. Yeah, I have time for one more question. Who has it? Just one more question. Ma'am in the pink something.
That's an interesting question. Every day our challenge is what don't we do at OMsignal. The variety of inbound requests we have to develop certain use cases, and sometimes these are really meaningful stuff. People who want to help a relative who's got a disease, they want to track something, and we can't for regulatory reasons, and we can't also from a focus standpoint. But one of the things we discovered is that there's almost an infinite array of interests to exploit smart clothing in the world out there. And you know, in order not to get lost, we got to make hard calls. And now we decided we go for performance, fitness, and lifestyle, and eventually we'll do more. But we're confronted with that large variety of interest every day.
My comment to that would be that, again, it shouldn't really be about the signals themselves. Like, ultimately, it doesn't make any difference for the end user what signal is measured, as long as the information is relevant and actionable.
Okay, that's all the time we have for the panel. Feel free to come up after us and ask questions. I think the upshot is dream big. We can do amazing things with these technologies and help people achieve goals they never even knew they had. So let's just go do it. That's exciting. Okay, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.